Good to have you back. Now, our next report looks at some motions that were taken this week in the House of Representatives and how the motions fared.
One issue that has continued to generate strong emotions amongst Nigerians is the issue of petroleum subsidy. While some say the subsidy is not serving its purpose and should be removed, others say it must remain. This played out in the House of Representatives during the week when a lawmaker moved a motion on the matter.
The House also notes that plans are allegedly ongoing by the federal government to remove petroleum subsidy. The House is concerned that removal of subsidy will lead to scarcity of petroleum products, trigger a rise in transportation costs, and generally cause untold hardships to Nigerians who will be at the mercy of the petroleum marketers with regard to fuel pump price increase.
But he was not allowed to complete the motion before a point of order was raised.
No dilatory motion shall be entertained by the Speaker, Mr. Speaker. This motion has been moved by a very dear friend, is speculative in nature. He's mostly saying there's an assumption that something may happen. We have also heard that there's an assumption that something may not happen. So we are better off waiting for something to happen before we attack that thing that may happen. So, Mr. Speaker, that something you are assuming that something may happen doesn't mean you can come forward and say that thing shouldn't happen. It hasn't happened, Mr. Speaker. That's my point of order.
There is a tradition in this house. We don't bring alleged motions. Our motions are based on facts and possibility of factual statements. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, on the contrary, I stand here to say emphatically that Mr. President has said repeatedly that he will not be removing subsidy. As a matter of fact, just yesterday, subsidies was paid for. Over 400 million was paid for. So I think when we did this motion, we shouldn't even go any further based on an allegation that has no basis in fact.
But the minority leader spoke against the point of order.
It is so sad and painful that here we are, being judgmental over a colleague. Hold on. Who have been refused the clear principles of fair hearing. A colleague of ours, listen, you will listen. A colleague, can you grant me audience, please? A member of the National Assembly, specifically the House of Representatives, have come up with a motion that have gone through all the process. And at the end of the day, we have not even given him fair hearing. We have not even had a word from him. Just reading the motion, you have decided that the motion is dilatory. What is dilatory in a motion? First and foremost, every issue that comes must be on the basis of allegation. And here a member must be given the privilege to express himself. And you are cutting him down. What kind of fair hearing is this?
He said allegation, so let's look into the motion and see where the allegation is coming from. And then I can now rule. So, Honorable Adeogun, finish reading your motion, because I was going through with you to see where the basis is for this motion, really. So by the time you have taken it, we'll now look at it, and then I will rule on the point of order.
Looking at the mood of the House, Honorable Speaker, as I said, looking at the mood of the House, I want to step down this motion.
Motion stepped down by leave of the House.
Another motion that suffered a setback on the floor was one on the need to investigate land grabbing in Nigeria by multinationals.
Disturbed that farmers in Niger, Taraba, Edo, and some other states are being forced off the land they have found for generations to make ways for these foreign companies to establish rice and other plantations. Concerned that the large hectares of land containing plots held by thousands of farmers and publicly funded irrigation system was simply handed over to foreign companies by the local government council without adequate consultation with local farmers or payment of compensation either in cash or job offers.
It is a development that this lawmaker says should not have gone the way it did.
Let us work out what I term the strategic partnership or alliance between the local farmers, the foreign investors, with the government serving as an intermediary or a bridge. They can broker a deal to ensure that the farmers are not cheated and investors also get a good deal so that Nigeria can become the investors' choice.
Well, some motions were also considered and approved. Here are some of them.
The Senate has asked security agencies to intensify the hunt for the perpetrators of the bomb attack in the internally displaced people's camp in Yola and Madagali town. In a motion, federal lawmaker Senator Ahmadu Abubakar said terrorism in northern Nigeria has caused a humanitarian crisis in the north, making Nigeria the country with the largest population of internally displaced persons in Africa and one of the largest in the world. On Friday, September 11, 2015, suspected members of the terrorist group struck the camp for internally displaced persons in Yola and Madagali in Adamawa State, killing several people.
Stabbed that on Friday, 11 September 2015, suspected members of the terrorist group struck the internally displaced persons camp in Yola and Madagali town, killing innocent people. Further disturbed that on Friday, 23rd October 2015, a teenage suicide bomber disguised as a worshipper detonated explosives that killed many worshippers at Jambutu Jumat Mosque in Yola, Adamawa State. About 40 people died and more than 100 were critically injured. Concerned that the incessant terror unleashed on the people of the Northeast has resulted in massive destruction of farmlands, near collapse of economic activities at Lake Chad Basin, Medicare has almost broken down, while shortage of food and water has compelled the people to eat in whatever they come across.
In a related development, the executive has been urged to initiate measures to evacuate Nigerian refugees in Cameroon. The House of Representatives made this appeal after considering a motion on the possible ejection of the refugees who had fled there following the upsurge in insurgency attacks in the northeastern part of Nigeria. The House has also asked that relevant agencies be directed to arrange for the return of the refugees to the country.
The House, aware that the Cameroonian authorities appear to be overwhelmed by the Nigerian refugee situation, has reports indicate their inability to guarantee even the basic health condition of the camps in the event of outbreak of epidemic and eventual attack by the insurgency. The House also aware that the refugees, exacerbated by the squalid conditions of their camps, are threatening to leave camps and return in mass to the country. The House, concerned that the immediate ejection and threat of over 12,000 refugees to return in mass to the country without coordinated arrangement, portends serious security and health implications for the country. The House resolves: 1. Urge the federal government to initiate measures of evacuating the vulnerable internally displaced persons, IDPs, from the protocol in Cameroon, Federal Republic of Cameroon. 2. Call on the federal government to direct National Emergency Agency, NEMA, and all other relevant bodies to adequately arrange for the safe return
and reinitiating of the IDPs into various locations, camps in the country.
In a bid to ensure the safety of people living in the northeastern part of the country, the House of Representatives has urged the executive to clear the local government areas recently recovered from the insurgents of landmines and the wreckages of military hardware left behind after the conflict. Representative Adamu Kamala, moving the motion, said this is necessary as most of the people displaced as a result of the conflict are returning to their homes. The motion also called on the government to assist the victims and their families who have been affected by landmine explosions.
We are also worried that hundreds of rigged military hardwares belonging to the insurgents litter the streets of the recovered territories and added to the landmines that has already been planted by the insurgents. This, Mr. Speaker, has caused a lot of psychological trauma and posed great danger to the lives of the people living in this area and the environment. Mr. Speaker, we are concerned that the continued presence of destroyed military hardwares and landmines threaten the safety of the inhabitants of Adamawa, Borno, Yobe, and other states that could not be mentioned here. And in line with Section 14 to Section B of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999, as amended, the primary function of a government, Mr. Speaker, which we are part of it, which this House is part of it, is to provide security and welfare of its citizens.
The motion was passed and referred to the committees on defense and army. Another road also caught the attention of the lawmakers. The lawmaker representing one of the constituencies along the road said it has become a death trap for motorists.
With serious concern, the deplorable condition of the road linking Jalingo Mayelope, Numa to Yola, and from Jalingo through Maramanzi, Zing Mayobelwa to Yola, which is causing a lot of anguish to commuters. The concern, Mr. Speaker, honorable members, that the deplorable condition of the roads has not only affected the economy of the area, but has also made the road to become death trap to motorists and vehicles for bandits who rob commuters at will on the route.
This week was also unique as the Senate once again adjourned plenary on Wednesday to resume on Tuesday next week without any explanation. This will be the second time this will happen when the Senate President is to appear before the Code of Conduct Tribunal and the Senate takes a holiday on that same day. Now, some people have wondered what will happen if the tribunal decides to sit for a whole week. Should we assume that the Senate will not sit for that week? An interesting prospect indeed. Well, this is it for this week. I'm Lanre Lasese. Thanks for being there.